Beyond Good and Evil 2. We just did a report on Games Daily today about the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, including a narrative link to the sequel. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think we see this game. Honestly,
what was your takeaway from the narrative link?
My takeaway on it is it's just an excuse to get people to buy this game for a third time. You know what I mean? I think it's less about the sequel. I think it's more about, hey, there's some new stuff in the game that you already know you like, because there is a very niche fan base for Beyond Good and Evil. And I say that as a fan of Beyond Good and Evil. But the sequel just doesn't seem to be an actual sequel to the game. It's a whole new experience that may or may not exist.
I think, if anything, just the link being there shows that it's alive in some way, shape, or form. Like, this game, I've thought on many accounts, is dead as shit. But them doing this, them trying to generate any hype for, go get this classic video game that a lot of people really, really love, just it at least shows me that there's signs of life there. There's a pulse.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Far Cry 7 is also on this list. And this brings me to my question regarding both these games, which is, what is Ubisoft doing in 2025? What big Ubisoft game is coming out next year? Because they've announced.
Because that's the thing. We've talked a lot about this is their year, man. Assassin's Creed and Star Wars, that's as big as Ubisoft can get.
Have we gotten an official Ubisoft statement in the way that we've seen Square and other publishers and developers in the past say, we are going to focus on what it makes us most successful? Have we gotten anything like that from Ubisoft where you maybe hear a statement and then you go, oh, that means they're canceling. That means that like Toys for Bob and Crash are on the chopping block.
Have we not? Because that sounds like from Ubi, yeah.
I don't think so.
It doesn't. I'm gonna look it up because it doesn't like seem something that I feel like we've heard implied.
I just I don't know about these smaller franchises now that aren't Assassin's Creed, that aren't Far Cry. Splinter Cell, whatever this remake is going to be, that may or may not exist. I gotta assume it's like in pre-production somewhere. I don't think that they talk about it at all for the 30th time without fully feeling like maybe it's going to happen. But I just wonder, where are all those other IPs that aren't going to sell gangbusters? And is there any motivation to keep those franchises going?
What ones are you talking about? Because at this point, I'd probably put Prince of Persia there, and it seems like they're taking Prince of Persia more seriously than they ever have.
You're right. But then I also think of I know the last Rabbids sequel didn't do great. Mario Rabbids game didn't sell as much as the first one and wasn't as much of a big success. And it's titles like that I wonder, do some of those teams go, hey, go work on Assassin's Creed, go work on Infinity, go work on whatever Jade or whatever the hell they're also doing.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because it feels like the core groups carry those weird ideas, like a Riders Republic, and then, now you have the freedom to do that weird bouncing ball game that we talked about that none of you knew about, that released 2 days before the presentation, right? Like, it feels like they have identified the core things of, we know Rainbow Six Siege is going to carry for quite some time. We know that we have Star Wars and we have Assassin's Creed coming. Like, those will carry those weird, wacky ideas of, if Nintendo calls, we're definitely going to answer and say, yeah, let's team up again and make something weird. But I feel like they've identified the core, and those are what we're going to really expect and get. And then there will always be the weird Rider Republics that come out, and it's like, I guess Ubisoft, but I'm not going to play that,
Mm-hmm. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I am out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KF20 for $20 off each pair of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. This episode is brought to you by Harry's. I always hate when I buy something and then I talk to someone else and I realize I way overspent and they got it for cheaper. It's happened to all of us, but getting ripped off is no joke, especially when there's razors involved. The people at Harry's were tired of seeing everyday people paying way too much for low quality shaving products. So they found a way to make beautifully designed razors without laughably high prices. You can get better designed and better value grooming products made by a company that forged their own path in the grooming industry. Harry's has been keeping me looking right for years, and you already know I'm going to count on them for a high quality shave for my wedding. Highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. You don't like your shave? No worries. It's on them. Convenient subscription options that allow you to cancel at any time, and you can stop getting ripped off. With Harry's, you can get a shave that's a cut above the rest. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/kindafunny. That's harrys.com/kindafunny for a $3 trial set.
This episode is brought to you by A Better Paradise. From the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series comes the new immersive audio fiction podcast, A Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began to deliver unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant and undiscovered. Until now. I listened to episode 1 on my way to work today, and the thing that stood out, of course, are the performances, but then as an audio drama fan, it was the use of monologues. There's a whole bunch of talking here as it sets up the world that is not that far from us in the timeline and also not that far from us in the technology, which is disturbing, but I'm quite interested to see where it goes. A Better Paradise is out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts. Go listen today, and don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode.
Jason writes in saying, "What's up with Splinter Cell?" It's a good question. Does anyone know the answer?
I don't think Ubisoft knows the answer.
I don't either.
I mean, they're working on it.
I definitely think it's in development somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be in development.
Underground, like in a government facility. I definitely think it's being made. I think they know what they have. I think they know that prior to this Metal Gear Solid 3 remake of Delta, there hasn't really been a stealth sort of espionage. I guess Hitman is right there. Yeah. But like Sam Fisher has just been missing out there, you know. We gotta go find his ass.
We do.
I think it's in development somewhere. I don't know anything else besides that.
Yeah, I mean, this is Ubisoft Toronto working on this one. The last game was Far Cry 6. That was 2021. Before that was Watch Dogs Legion, and then Far Cry 5 before that. Yeah, I mean, like, are they done with Ghost Recon Wild? Like, remember John Bernthal was in one of them? Yeah, that was Breakpoint. Breakpoint was their Breakpoint. Yeah. They put out Breakpoint, they're like, fuck, we got to get our shit together.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And then they put out Gods and Monsters the year after. Yeah, no, I think Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is one that you take seriously and you go, hey, we are putting in the resources to this, right? If this takes us delaying Far Cry 7, like, we'll fucking do it as long as we're able, or even like Watch Dogs, right? Because like, I feel like when at Ubisoft, there has to be people that look at these things and go, do we really need to put out a 4th Watch Dogs right now? Or should we like put some love into a Splinter Cell or some of our classic titles that we haven't touched as much? I think that's how we get Prince of Persia, Lost Crown coming back. I think Splinter Cell is another one of those where it's time. Like, I think people will show up for this.
Done, right?
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Which I think, and there's a lot of hopium here. There's a lot of me being very positive about something that hasn't really proven to me that like I should be feeling this way. Les and I have talked on Games Daily about Ubisoft for years now about like, what the fuck are they doing? What's the direction? Who are they? And I think we're at this moment right now where we just saw their conference. They have Assassin's Creed. They have Star Wars Outlaws. They look incredible. These are the big ones. And I think they're shooting their shot with the way that they showed Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. That is them saying we're taking this seriously. They need to then take Splinter Cell seriously. This could be a glory era for Ubisoft
saying
of redefining what their franchises are and what their core big titles are for us to look at it and be like, okay, this is starting to make sense and they're back on track. So hopefully, I mean, we got that 2025 date, right, for Sands of Time.
2026.
Oh, 2026. Yeah. I mean, like, and that's realistic. You know, I think that's, we look at that and say, all right, things don't happen overnight. What do they have in between? We'll have to see. But like, I imagine that 2026 will also include Splinter Cell. And like, that could be very cool.
I think, I mean, to going back and talking about that Ubisoft Forward, again, there are two major things being Assassin's Creed and Star Wars Outlaws. I think that is them focusing in on, hey, 2024, what is happening? Like, to my question of what is happening in 2025, like, what does Ubisoft have going on? I hope that it is the good ending of, oh no, we have things. Like, we just want to make sure that we are, you know, making y'all pay attention to these two things, because these are the things we're most excited to talk about as Ubisoft. These are the money makers. These are important to us. I think 2025, hopefully we have, maybe it's not Splinter Cell because that almost feels too soon, but maybe it could be, right? Maybe it could be something else that's big. Maybe it could be Far Cry. I think, there was something else that I had for 2026 in my head. Already forgot it. Oh, Assassin's Creed Hexy. That's another one that, like, I think that is slated for possibly 2026, but I think the dominoes are starting to fall a little bit for Ubisoft.
What were the rumors there of Hexy?
That, like, I think last I saw it wasn't next year, which would put it the year after, because like you're gonna have a major Assassin's Creed thing at least every other year.
Well, I mean, didn't we have? I guess I meant more what was being rumored when it comes to setting and stuff.
Oh, it's
That was
the
the
Witch Trials.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of feel like 2025 might be a little bit low and like not have any crazy things. I think that might be a good thing. Like, build up and get things right instead of just putting out a Far Cry. You know what I mean? I feel like the next Far Cry should mean something as much as Assassin's Creed Shadows hopefully means something, you know?
But on the flip side of that, I think that they can only have that approach with so many titles that, like, Star Wars seems to be that one of those. Shadows seems to be one of those. You got to hope that Splinter Cell is one of those. To me, I think that, you know, investors and pressure and all that stuff is like, hey, the Far Cry usually sells regardless of, like, you're always going to put out a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 with Far Cry. Just put out another one of those. It's going to make money. And I would assume that the priority of, like, if we were looking at, like, what gets the highest amount of love from, not saying that, like, these developers don't care about these franchises, but the higher ups and the executives in the ladder really, really just want that profit, obviously. I think Far Cry is one of those titles that we're going to put out a really decent Far Cry regardless of what we do, and it's going to sell well. Let's have that be the automatic that we put out. Let's have that be like our, I don't know, our NBA 2K or whatever. You know, like, people are going to buy this regardless of how much love we put into it. But the ones, I think you can only have a studio that has been through so much turmoil really truly have to, you know, when we're looking at what their catalog is, only so many titles can be like, this has to be the one, you know?
For some context, the Far Cry Twitter account tweeted out in March 2024, so a few months ago, that over 90 million unique players have played Far Cry since the series debut. And some stats breakdown from this website I've never heard of before called Game World Observer. They break it down of, like, you know, Far Cry 1 for the PC version, 2.5 million copies. Far Cry 2, 2.9. Far Cry 3 sold over 10 million copies in less than 2 years. Far Cry 4, 10 million copies. Far Cry 5, over 20 million copies. And then we don't have any official data on Far Cry 6. So yeah, Far Cry is a moneymaker. Far Cry, like, does the damn thing. If I'm looking at the timeline right now, right, like 2021 for Far Cry 6, I wouldn't be surprised if Far Cry 7 is coming out next fall, but they're waiting for next E3 or next Summer Game Fest or whatever to talk about it. And maybe you have that, and then one other big thing for next year, and then you get to the year after, and it is Splinter Cell, Assassin's Creed Hexy, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Probably not that one, but yeah, I think, like, they're pacing this out. Like, I think their business needs a lot of redefinition. And I think that in the last, let's say, 4 years, they've been, like, trying to redefine it and trying to shed, all right, we got the fucking ball game. And we have the roller champions game. And we have, like, Rainbow Six Extraction, all that shit. Let's shed through this stuff. Let's put it out because all of it is already in development. And let's get to the other side and focus on what are going to be the big money makers year to year. This year is Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed. Next year it'll probably be Far Cry and maybe another thing, and then the year after that, like you can start to see these things as they happen. And then 2026 is going to be Prince of Persia. You hope.
Don't forget about Anno.
Can't forget about Anna.
Cannot.
And Just
Put
Dance.
some respect on Anno and Just Dance. Yep.
Always.
I like where they're at. I agree with all of you. I like where Ubisoft is at. I like that we're trending in a different direction for them right now, and it feels like they've identified who they really are and what matters to them. And I agree, Bless. I think next year we'll start to really see that come into the fold of, hey, this is again where we're at, and then onward. I'm liking this.